Hi everybody. Tonight I thought that I'll show you how I do my sand painting. I was going to get ready and do one anyway, so I just thought I would bring you along and show you how I do it. Now there's other YouTubers that have videos out there about sand painting, and I have watched some of them, and of course we all have our own techniques of doing things. So this is the way I do it. And if you want to give it a try, it's a lot of fun. I love sand painting. It's my favorite. So give it a try. You never know. Might have an artist in you there somewhere. So here we go, and I'll show you how I do my sand paintings. I've got my crafting apron on that Ian sent me. Sent one to my granddaughter's Savannah too. And we use our aprons. I haven't managed to destroy them too badly yet, so I wanted to do that. And let's see, now I want to add a little bit of pink to my sky, just a teeny tiny bit. And you can kind of just blend it in to your sky. Give it some color because it's getting dusk. And we do have beautiful sunsets out here. Keep getting those little tiny pieces of cloth. Okay, maybe just a tiny bit more. Maybe up in the corner just a little bit. Just kind of brush it in, just lightly. You don't want to push on your brush, you just want to do it easily, lightly. You want it to blend. And you have to be pretty quick with the blending on the acrylics because, like I said, they do dry pretty quickly. And you know how clouds in the sky and stuff are. Nothing's perfect. Excuse me, nothing's perfect. So you just kind of blend it in, make it nice and smooth. And we got a little pink in our sky there. Right, a little bit of a pink sky. And I was thinking maybe, I don't know, should I put blue in there or just leave it as the pink? I think I will just leave the pink. I was going to add blue, but now that I think about it, and with this color of gray, probably best to just let it be. Add a little more gray down here. And you just kind of fuss with it and kind of make your sky look how you want it to look. And I wanted it to look darkish and kind of dusky because, like I said, I'm going to do a silhouette. So I can't have a bright sky. And there's what the sky looks like. I can get it out of the shadow here. The gray with just a little bit of pink in it for my evening sky. Yeah, that should be okay. Alright, because our main focus is going to be the Native Americans crossing the prairie and not the sky. But I did want it to look kind of pretty and have a little bit of color. So, can I see what that looks like an evening sky with a little pink. And it will make a little more sense once I get my subject matter on there. Okay, now what we have to do right now is we've got our sky on. in our background. So we are just going to have to let this kind of sit for a minute. And you know, I think I might I'm just making this up as I go, guys. Sorry. Changing my mind every second. What I think I might do is go ahead and put like a little lighter gray down here at the bottom. You know how at the sunset you always see a little bit lighter color at the horizon? If you'll notice, it's always like a lighter color. So I'm going to get a little bit more white, add to a little bit of this gray, and do a little bit of a lighter, ouch, down toward the horizon line. My paintbrush is leaking water from when I rinsed it. So let's see, where's my knife? There we go. I'm going to mix it up in the gray a little bit here. Make it a really light gray down toward the horizon line. Maybe a little more white. Get down to that. The two main colors I go through a lot is white and black. Especially when I'm doing silhouettes. I love silhouettes. So I use a lot of white and black to get my different colors that I want. So I think that might be good. So let's get a little bit lighter color. Take my big brush again. And you just need a little bit on the end. You don't need a lot of paint. I'm just going to kind of see my acrylic is drying already, so I should have done this just a little sooner, but that's okay. And you just kind of brush around, kind of blend it in a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect. There is no perfection in nature, so you don't have to be perfect. Get a little bit more, tiny bit more pink in here. Blend it in there with the white, or not the white, but the lighter color. Okay, I think I'm ready for my subjects. Here's the way my sky looks. A little whiter at the bottom and darker toward the top. A little bit of pink in there for a little color for our evening sky. So what we got to do now is we're going to go away for a few minutes. We're going to let our sky dry. And we're going to put our subject on there, draw it on there. And I'll show you how I do it. I usually draw my subject on paper. And I have this pad that acts as a palette and drawing paper. So it works okay for both. So I don't have to have a palette out and a notepad. So we can get rid of this. I'll throw this away. It's my old paints that I just used. And we'll start again. And I'm going to draw my picture on my tissue paper so I can get the picture right, because you don't want to draw, there's another little piece. You don't want to draw on your painting unless you're really good, which I am not. Some artists can do that. I don't, because I change my mind and make too many mistakes. So what I'm going to do is draw my picture on here, and then I'm going to, when I get it the way I want it, then I'm going to trace it onto my painting. And I'll show you how I do that in just a few minutes. I think I will work on my picture. I'm going to draw two horses, one with a male Native American and a female Native American on their horses, and they're going to be riding across the prairie. So I'm going to let this dry. I'm going to work on my picture. And I would do it on camera, but to save time, I'll just go ahead and let this dry, do my picture, and I'll be right back. Because if you watch me sketch and draw and erase and sketch, I'd be here all night. So just, it'd be a really, really long video. So let's let this dry. It's drying quickly already, so I better get busy and get my picture drawn, and I'll show you what I did in just a few minutes. Okay. I have finished the outline of my drawing, and you can see it's the outline of two people on horses. And this is what I'm going to copy onto my painting. And you ask, what does this have to do with sand painting? Well, what I do is I use acrylic background, and I like to put my picture onto the painting, and then I will color this, paint this in, I should say, black, and then the sand goes on top of this. And I leave my sky background acrylic. It's kind of a mix between sand painting and acrylic. And the reason I paint these in black before I sand them is because it gives it a richer, in my opinion, a richer, more standout color. So let me show you how I'm going to put this onto my painting. I'm going to trace it on. What I'm going to do is just use my pencil, and I am going to just turn the paper over, of course. Haha. Don't want to mess up my drawing. And I'm just going to color over the lines. And I just do this just to get over the lines. You don't have to do the whole paper. Okay, I'm not going to make you sit and watch the whole thing, so I'm going to pause you while I finish doing all the lines. Okay, as you can see, I have colored on the back of my sheet that I drew my picture on. That's on the back. And I will lay the paper over top of the painting that I just did on the sky. And then what I'm going to do now is just trace over all the lines on my picture. And it will, here, let me show you. I'm going to need my glasses. Just carefully, and you press a little hard but not too hard, and it's very important that you do not let the paper shift or move in any manner or You'll never get your lines lined back up. And as you can see, if you can tell, the lines transpose onto, and you can barely see it on here, transpose, and you only want it light, onto your painting. Some people use charcoal to do this, but if you use charcoal, I found that it smudges onto the painting, and you don't want charcoal smudge on your painting, because that can ruin things real fast. Okay, so I'm going to finish this real quick and I'll get back with you. Okay, I have traced my silhouette, my drawing, onto my sky painting. You can see it there, you can barely see it, it's very light. Okay, so my two people and their horses are on my painting. Now what I'm going to do is take my black acrylic paint, and I'm going to color in my silhouette so you can see the people. And when I get done with that and it dries, then we're going to put the sand not on the sky but on the people, and this part down here is going to be prairie grass, and that also is going to be sand. So I'm going to go ahead and let's get this started painting in. Gotta pick which brush I want here, because it'll be a small one. Right. I want one with kind of a little sharp edge on it, so I can stay exactly on the line. I'll use this little one. And I think this one. So I'm going to choose this one. Oops. And this little tiny brush to do my silhouette so I don't go out of the line. I want to be very careful to stay within my drawing. So let's get started on this. You know what, I might get a different brush too for the tail. Yeah. It's always hard for me to pick out which brush I want. Okay, I'll do this one. Okay, I've already put out a little bit of black on my palette here. So I'm going to start filling this in. And don't worry, we're going to get to the sand part, I promise. And all you do is like it's like a coloring book, you just color in the lines. So my paintings are basically, some of them are all sand, but a lot of them are combination between acrylic painting and sand, or oil painting and sand. I don't do a lot of them that are strictly sand because personally I like the combination of the two mediums. So I will use both. You want to be very careful to stay within the lines of your drawing. And you want to make sure you don't leave any pencil drawing. Make sure to cover that up with your paint. I made this really light. And make sure you get every little bump, every little feature. Because when you do the sand, you have to have it exactly on black silhouette and nothing else that you have painted. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill these figures in. You kind of get the point here. It's just like almost like paint by number, not paint by number, but like a coloring book. You know, you just paint in the figure that you drew on your painting. All right, I'm going to fill these guys in, and I will be right back. Okay. Now, I have filled in the drawing that I did. I traced it onto my canvas and I painted it in with black. So there are my two Native American people on their horses, and that's what it looks like colored in. So now I am going to put some prairie grass on the bottom to finish out the painting of this picture. And that's very easy. You just get some black on your paintbrush and just kind of go across the bottom and just kind of make like different directions of strokes. Because prairie grass is a bit stiff and uneven. I want to cover the whole paper here. And prairie grass is kind of all over the place. And the bottom part is just going to be black. You just take your brush and kind of do upstrokes to make it look like fuzzy grass. show you what I'm doing here. Kind of makes it look like prairie grass sticking up. It's coarse and kind of poofy and kind of goes in every which direction. And we're going to do that all the way across. I'm going to have to get me some more black paint over there. And coming down a little bit of a hill here. I'll just color this all in. Again, this is black acrylic paint. Dries very quickly. Okay, and this is what, oops, so I could color that in a little bit better. Left a white spot. I want to do that because when you put the sand on, if there's white spots, it doesn't cover evenly. Okay. And there you have Indians on a prairie trekking across the prairie together. All right. The Indians are a little thing there. The people and the horses are dry, believe it or not. I just painted them. And now we have to wait for the prairie to dry. And then, the important part, put our sand on. And the sand really makes the people and the grasses and things really stand out. They just kind of pop out at you. So, I will show you that in just a few minutes as soon as our prairie grass dries. So I will be back in just a moment. And we'll put the sand on and then we're all done. Alrighty. It's pretty much dry. We just got a little spot right here, as you see. It's a bit wet, but we can work around that. What you're going to need now is some sand. Here's my black sand. And I just ordered it online. It's just colored sand. You can get it in any color pretty much that you want. So I'm going to use this for my silhouettes. You'll need some Elmer's glue and a container. I used a little spice bottle that I had cleaned out as my container. Put some of this in a container, and you put, oh, maybe 3 or 4 drops of water in the glue. Stir it up really good, just enough to make it a little more pliable to paint with. And that's all you do with that. And of course you'll need your paintbrushes. I've got my glue in here. I've got it already mixed up. So what I'm going to do is show you how to do this last little bit. And you're going to want to put your painting on a piece of cardboard, or you can use newspaper, but it has to have like a fold in the middle, like this. And I'll show you why here in just one second. Alright, so while this is drying over here, it's almost done, I'm going to take my glue and I'm just going to go over just the black painted part, just the black painted. Just be very careful to stay only on the black and cover the entire black portion with glue. Make sure you cover all of it. Okay. Because wherever you put the glue is where your sand is going to be. So if you get off of the black part, you're going to have a distorted picture and you will have black sand in your sky. And try to make the glue as even as possible. And that's all you do is spread it around like this. And remember, this is nothing but Elmer's glue and a little bit of water just to make it a little more spreadable. And you want to make sure you get to the edges of whatever the color is that you're doing. Some people put it really thin. I like to put a generous coat, only because I tend to overdo everything. I'm one of those crazy people that if a little is good, a lot's got to be better. Not necessarily. I've caused myself some grief with that thinking. Okay, we'll do a little bit more and I'll show you what to do with the sand. And there's the person's hand. Like I said, there's several YouTubers that I have found that have channels on sand painting. And they're all very good. And everybody does it different. I like using both mediums, the acrylic paint and the sand. And some people only use the sand. But in my thinking, I like to paint it first and then put the sand on because I think it gives it a richer quality when you put the sand on it. Okay, let me do these reins right here and then I'll put the sand on and show you. And I really like using the sand. I just think it makes the picture have more depth and it just pops out. It doesn't look so two-dimensional. So let me show you how to do the sand. And you don't have to do the entire thing. You can do it in sections. Just make sure that you get good coverage with the glue on the next section. I like to do it in sections because I don't like my glue to get too dry. And you just take your sand and sprinkle it over the top of your glue. Make sure you cover all the glue area. And what I like to do is just kind of lightly pat it a little. Make sure it gets into the glue good. And I'll show you now the reason for the crease. And you just dust the sand off. Okay. And I like to take a brush and see how you have little granules you'll stuck to your painting. Just take a brush and just kind of go around and get the little extras off. And just kind of brush them off. Get your painting nice and clean. Sometimes the sand likes to stick to your freshly painted acrylic because it's a little sticky. Acrylic tends to, well, you know how acrylic is, it's a little more of a plasticky type feel. And then you can just clean off the extra sand with the dry paint brush. No big deal. Keeps your painting clean. And you get a nice sharp. you're brushing the sand off, don't brush hard, because you will leave marks on your painting that you don't want. And I'll get the ones on this side. You see, it kind of makes it glittery and pretty, and it really gives it a rich color, and it gives it some life. You're painting some life. I'm using my phone, and the camera doesn't really do it justice, but it really makes it stand out and pop out and really get you to take notice. Anyway, that's the procedure. I'll set this over here. And the reason that I told you to do this, get all your excess sand in that crease. You can open your jar and you save your sand, pour it right back in the jar. Just like that. That way you don't have a mess everywhere and you don't waste any of your sand, which is very important because this stuff is not cheap. And you can reuse the excess. And there you go. See how much darker and richer it makes it look? And it gives it a really nice effect. And I'm going to go ahead and finish doing this because it would make the video way too long if you watch me to do all of it. So I'll go ahead and finish it and I'll show you the end result. I love using the sand. I just think it really adds a lot to the picture instead of just flat two-dimensional. And I wish you could see it in real life. The camera doesn't really show it, but it makes the image that you do the sand, it actually raises it off the canvas a little bit and gives it more depth. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up and I'll let you see the end result. Okay, we are done. Here's our finished product. These are our two happy Native Americans riding their horses across the prairie off into the sunset. And this painting is done and ready to go. And the sand sparkles in the light. But there you go. There's a sand painting. Sand painting and acrylic. It's a little bit of both. And in the morning, I'm going to let this sit all night. And then in the morning, when it's dry, I'm going to take some matte. It's acrylic sealer matte finish. You don't want to use gloss finish on paintings ever. But this matte finish is perfect. It doesn't affect the color any or make it glossy. It's just flat, and it holds the sand in place really well. So in the morning, I'm going to spray my new painting with this matte finish, and that will be it. It will be done, ready to go. So thank you for, if you made it all the way through this video, thank you very much. I know it was a little bit long, and watching somebody do artwork is not that exciting sometimes. So thank you very much for tuning in. And I hope that you liked it, and please subscribe to my channel and hit that like button. That's important. And don't forget that I have an exploration channel. I'll be going out into the desert again soon to look at ghost towns or whatever I can find out there. And my channel is Burning Sands Exploration. So please check over there. I will have new content on there pretty soon. As soon as the snow quits and the desert dries up just a little bit, because the desert turns into quicksand when it gets soaking wet like this. This year has really been wet, so but I will be back out there soon, so please keep tuned, and we'll talk to you later. And you guys have a good night, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and bless every one of you, and we'll talk to you again. Thank you.